Yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Why she... What? Okay. Hey Internet, it's Jessica, and welcome back to Seduce Me. So finally, I'm gonna do the final route for the series, which is Diana. After that, we're gonna go do her special episode, and then we'll jump into Seduce Me 2 with her route. So I'm very interested to seeing what Diana's gonna be like, because I know Michaela said she didn't really give her like a backstory until Seduce Me 2. So I'm very excited to see more things about Diana and Saero, because I know Saero's mixed into this. So anyway, before we get started, if you guys would like to check out the game yourself, there's a link in the description. And of course, if you would like to support the creator, who is Michaela Laws, and also the voice of Diana, I will have links to her stuff as well. Anyway, if you guys would like to check out also the routes for all the boys, because I have done all of them, there's a link to the playlist as well. Okay, let's get started. My life would return to normal. Well, as normal as it could be. However, I was smarter and wiser than before. I knew of things beyond the humanity now. I have come to learn about the boys and about the experience of the supernatural. I wasn't blind to what was beyond human life. Learning about this made me more open-minded. I nodded to myself before heading to my room, closing the door, and mentally allowing the reality of the situation to sink in. Tomorrow I had school. No devils to kidnap me. No incubi to wake up with. I went to bed that night, accepting and not regretting anything. Or so I'd hope so. Oh, here we go, Diana! I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but I had a hand cover my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
So, Diana, what are you doing here? The boys left. I could only stare at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move over or fight her off. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement.
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known it, as she let another smirk grow on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Oh my god. Are you into that, Diana? Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for an answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am. But I'm much more than just an average demon.
She's a succubus, bitch! Like, what do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now succubus? Great. I have now met both genders of sex humans. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty, but you seem very reckless.
What does that mean?
Too reckless.
I moved out and stood from my bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Well, I came here to clean up what the boys clearly forgot to clean. Men. So sloppy.
What do you mean by that?
I mean erasing your memories, sweetie.
Oh. This woman wasn't serious, was she? She comes into my room and spouts this? This was ridiculous. I began to walk towards the door, wanting to leave the room. The boys could get rid of her. I had no mind about dealing here with myself.
The boys are gone, sweetie.
I froze in place. What? They were already gone? No way. I turned to Diana, glaring hard at her as she kept a smirk on me. You're lying.
Am I? If you want to go see for yourself, you can. But I promise you'll be wasting your time.
I stared, trying to find a hint of that she was lying. She had to be. The boys wouldn't just jump up and leave without resting first, right? Diana crossed her arms and waited for me to make a choice. I decided to believe her for now. I'd find some hint in this conversation. What do you mean, take my memories?
Well, we demons can't have just anyone knowing about us. You have to completely devote your soul to learning about us. And even then, it's not always guaranteed that you can be granted knowledge of us.
What makes me not to deserve to know anything? I was attacked by devils. I found the boys in my house wounded and sheltered them. I think I deserve to remember those moments. Diana let out a laugh, running her hand through her hair before looking back at me in amusement.
You were attacked by a gang and were almost killed. You found 5 homeless men and let them stay in your home. There's nothing special about either of these instances.
Okay. Yes, there was.
A human like you can't understand the rules. The boys themselves aren't even aware of the rules. They'll learn soon enough.
Diana flipped her hair before looking at me with a stern look.
Listen, sweetie. You're not going back to bed or leaving this house with those memories. I'm taking them from you, one way or another.
How about no? I glared, standing my ground. You're not taking my memories. I'm not letting you take them.
And what do you plan to do with them, huh? Tell the press? Gossip to your friends that demons exist? Confess to your parents that you had demon servants and were almost killed by a devil gang?
Now she was making me mad. Did she seriously think I was this stupid? These memories were precious to me and I wasn't going to let her win over my mind. These memories are important to me. I know that the other creatures exist. I know that magic exists. I'm more open-minded now.
Open-minded or gullible?
What does she mean by that? The point of being minded was to be about open through all thoughts. How is that anything close to being gullible?
There is nothing to learn from remembering the boys that won't bring trouble. I'm merely saving you from that. There are more than just demons who want to keep their existence a secret.
I don't think they did, because they didn't give a shit when they found, Mika in the house.
There are many creatures in this world that don't want to be known of. And you remembering a small fragment is not acceptable to them without good reason.
Diana smirked.
If you would have kept the boys, or at least had one of them around, they'd be a little more lenient to listen to your pleas. However, you're about to go into tomorrow without any of them around.
I couldn't believe my ears. There were more than just demons? Other fictional creatures existed? There was a system? What? Diana sighed and snapped her fingers, lifting my body from the ground with her magic.
Look, I can kill you and no longer waste what little time I have, or I can erase your memories and go on with my life. I have more important things to do above arguing with you.
I looked down at the ground to see something that made every nerve in my body quickly quake in fear. On the ground were large open mouths with sharp white teeth, leading to an empty black abyss. What the hell is she doing? I could feel the heat from the mouth's breath pant against my floating body. I looked at Diana, who was looking at me with a stern, almost heartless gaze.
Make a choice, sweetie. Give up your memories, or be a demon's snack. I warn you, he's quite the biter.
Diana, why are you a bitch? I was panicking. I was about to die. Again, the boys weren't here to protect me. What was I gonna do? Make a deal with Diana? Then I remembered, demons had a conscience. They weren't heartless without reason. She could be reasoned with. That's true. She seemed like a businesswoman. To be honest, yeah, Diana would probably, if she was living in the human world, I can totally see her as like a businesswoman. Wait!
What? You're wasting my time.
What about a deal, huh? Diana raised an eyebrow. I was afraid that she wasn't going to listen. What if she was ruthless as I imagined her to be?
I'm listening.
Wait, really? Was she really willing to listen to me? She didn't drop me in the pit of death, but she wasn't letting out of her spell. Now that was a good time to try reason. These memories are precious to me, but they're not worth me losing my life.
Of course.
I mean, if I die, people will wonder and try to find an explanation as to why I died or where I disappeared to.
Then just hand over your memories.
What if I traded them to you instead? You seem like a reasonable businesswoman. A trade is better than forcing me to give in, right? This was insane. I didn't know if she was willing to listen. She already had me hanging over a pit of death. The only reason I could hope for is that she was being forgiving enough to listen to reason.
Well, speak your terms.
Ooh, it's working.
What do you want in exchange?
I let out a sigh of relief. She was willing to listen further. Well, what can you give me in return for them?
I'm a demon. I can give you anything within reason. Money, men, women, power. Name it.
How about
Just
you?
make it worth the price.
I don't know. She could really give me anything? My mind began to wonder. What did I want? I heard Diana stifle a laughter.
Me? Are you serious? What do you mean, me?
Why not you, Diana? I looked at Diana again. She was indeed scary, but she was gorgeous and somehow she interested me. More so than boys. Yeah! I mean, you staying with me for a little while, I want to get to know you and these rules you're talking about.
A human wanting to know more about a demon and the rules. You're really trying to step over your place.
Yes!
Especially if you'll be losing those memories in the end.
I'm serious. I'll give you my memories and energy if you want to stay for a couple of days. A day even. It'll be worth it.
Completely willingly?
Completely willingly.
And if you don't fulfill your end of the bargain?
Then you can feed me to your pit beast. Did that really slip out of my mouth? Was I really wanting to put my life back on the line? If it meant keeping my memories for a little longer, then yes. Diana looked at me, scanning my body with her eyes and any signs of false intent. I didn't have any, so Diana sighed and snapped her fingers again. The demon below me vanished, and I was slowly lowered to the ground. I looked at Diana in surprise.
You are very lucky. Demon magic is so finicky.
What do you mean?
Why do you think demons make deals with humans like you?
I wasn't sure. Demons were still new to me. I had heard stories of people making deals with demons, and only ruin coming from it. Diana sighed.
It's one thing to take your memories or your energy. It's another for you to willingly give it. We get more for our effort if the one we make a deal with is willing. Think of it like sex. If I'm aroused and you're willing to open your legs for me, I'll get pleasure. I'll enjoy it. You might enjoy it. And it's done.
Uh-huh.
But if you aren't willing and I force myself on you anyway, it's not so pleasurable for me. Even if I get what I want, it won't be as worth it.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Consent is important, people. Strangely, that made sense. It was very much like a business. If I had what they want, they could negotiate for it, or they could take it anyway, but not without a fight. Were they all really business-oriented? My curiosity about demons grew, then I realized what deal I had made. So, you'll stay for a couple of days?
A day is enough.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Yes?
Yes.
What? Okay. Diana looked at me up and down once again. I felt a little naked all of a sudden under her gaze, but I ignored her as she shrugged.
All right.
Really? Okay. Diana kept her eyes on me, unsure of what was going on from the look on her face.
So, what do you want to know? You're obviously curious about demons enough to make a deal with me.
My first thought shot to her, but then I remembered the boys. Not all of my questions were answered. I want to know everything. First of all, who exactly are you? Diana chuckled before crossing her arms.
You may refer to me as simply Diana. As I said before, I'm a succubus, and I intend to bring the boys back home.
Back home? What do you mean? Back to the demon world?
Precisely. They don't belong here, and it's imperative that they return.
Why?
Did they not tell you? They're runaway royals.
I couldn't believe in my ears. What? They were royals? Why were they run away from royalty? Diana simply smirked on her new surprised face.
Ah, so they didn't tell you. How unfortunate. You were in the presence of a demon prince and his noble brothers, and you didn't even know.
I felt myself unconsciously walk over and sit on the bed. They hid something gigantic for me? Why? Did they not trust you? I mean, they don't know who she is, so I don't really blame them for not, saying it, right away. Then again, it had only been a couple of days, yet they helped me and they were here for me regardless, acting like servants instead of noblemen. I gripped my head in frustration. What am I supposed to believe?
Believe whatever you wish. The confusion will fade away soon enough, regardless.
I looked to Diana, who only gave me an almost somber look in return. She was serious about removing my memories, but she would keep the end of the deal until I learned all I could. That, and I felt thrilled to have her. Maybe it was because she was a succubus? I don't know. I sighed and faced Diana. So, how did you get in the human world? How did the boys get here?
With the help of a human, in both of our cases. There's truly no need for details beyond that.
Because they don't want to say your
Any human
grandfather.
can cast a summoning spell. It's just a matter of what happens during the summoning and after where things get tricky.
What do you mean?
Well, if a human is willing, only part of their life force is taken from them, and they are given one chance to open a bridge between our worlds to allow the demon they desire to come through. The more demons come through, the more life force the spell takes. Luckily for the poor human that brought them here, the boys sacrificed some of their own powers to open the bridge instead of letting the spell feed solely on the human. The human lived, and the boys came through.
That almost made sense. Something in my mind clicked, but I couldn't clear it out to figure out what it was. I only nodded to Diana. And you were the same?
Somewhat. However, I don't care to go into details.
Yeah, actually...
You'll forget soon enough.
Actually, that's what I always wondered. How did Diana get here? I know she's very powerful and whatever, but, the boys got through because of their grandfather, so I'm wondering, how the hell she got here. That's not part of the deal.
You wish to have me around for more information. I get to decide what information to give.
What? Cheater.
It's not cheating if it's not a broken rule.
I huffed and crossed my arms and legs. Diana was a game player, and I didn't like her rules. However, they were the rules I had to accept in order to keep my memories a little while longer. I'd find a way to remember she wasn't going to win. Diana let out a small chuckle and ran her hand through her hair.
Well, I believe I should head to bed. If I'm to stay here, then I need some form of sleep.
I watched Diana as she crossed through my room to the door and opened it. She turned to me with a small wink.
Have a good night. See you in the morning.
Okay. Bye? Before I could respond, she exited the room and closed the door behind her. I stared. It was like she was in control, almost gritted my teeth at the thought. She wasn't the master of the house. I was. I huffed and crawled under the covers. How did my life get so complicated? What's going on with me? I must have a serious bad luck. I sighed and covered myself with the blankets, not wanting tonight to end. I needed tomorrow to come. School would take my mind off things. If school actually happened, anyway. I awoke that morning minutes away from my alarm. I felt slightly groggy, but I didn't expect to feel bad. It was more physical exhaustion with my mind ready to take on the day. I stretched and quickly changed into my clothes before heading downstairs with my bag. As I reached the lobby, I stopped and stifled the new scent and smell in the air. Breakfast? Is Diana cooking? What? I continued my way to the dining room to see Diana laying on plates covered with sliced fruit. On the table there were delicious eggs, toast, bacon, ham, veggies, and juice. I felt my mouth salivate. But then I remembered that it was Diana serving breakfast and I shook my head. What are you doing?
You're up. Come. Breakfast. I didn't know what you liked, so I made everything I knew humans ate for this time of day.
I walked over and scanned the table before giggling. Diana raised an eyebrow at me.
And what is so funny?
You didn't make everything breakfast related. You forgot a couple of things.
Like what?
Coffee, pancakes, waffles. Diana almost looked insulted before looking to the table and recounted the plates. I laughed harder, making her glare at me.
I haven't been in the human world long enough to know everything, all right? Unlike the boys, I know little to nothing about what you humans eat in your homes.
Okay, let's be fair. She shouldn't laugh at her. At least she made food. At the mention of the boys, I suddenly remembered them. They treated me like a part of their family, caring for me and always making sure I was okay beyond anything else. They were servants to me, and I let them go. I let out a sigh of the memory. Little did I know that Diana stared at me the entire time. I shook my head and looked at the table, getting an empty plate and filling it with what I wanted to before sitting and eating. Diana remained standing, watching me. I almost felt naked under her gaze, so I looked over, pausing my eating. Aren't you gonna eat?
I already ate.
What did you eat?
You really wish to know?
Yeah, what? Yes? I wanted to know more than demons. I wanted to know more about her. Of course I said yes. Diana stared in surprise before smirking a bit and reaching into her cleavage. Oh my god, that's right, that's her magic TARDIS purse. Well, she just pulls everything out of her boobs. I watched as she pulled out a small purple vial. She popped the cork and poured more of the couple of sip fuels into her palm before recorking the vial and placing it back in her dress. Diana closed her eyes and closed her hand. What was she doing? This was odd to watch, and yet at the same time I was practically on the edge of my seat in curiosity. What was she gonna do? Her hand started to open and it almost blossom flowered and revealed a small peach-sized fruit. Oh! It was purple and it had almost an enchanting smell to it that made the food seem almost disgusting.
A plant from the abyssal plains. We call it a sweet flower. Would you like to try it?
Sure, fuck it, why not? If we die, oh well. I nodded, staring at the fruit. It looked absolutely gorgeous and delectable. I couldn't resist grabbing onto the chance and trying it. Diana nodded before cupping the fruit in both hands and pulling the purple flesh from the fruit, revealing a juicy black center. It was as if it was cut on the inside. Diana pulled out a perfect slice and handed it to me.
I must say, you may be the first human to try this fruit. You should consider yourself lucky.
Cool. I hope we don't die. That's all I ask. I nodded, not pulling my eyes away from the fruit slice in my hand. It was juicy and its clear juice painted over my fingers. Somehow I didn't care. I wanted to try and savor it. I lifted the small slice and put it to my lips and took a bite, feeling ecstasy run through my mouth. I almost couldn't fight back the moan that was erupting in my throat. Oh dear. It was sweet, yet slightly tart. It was the perfect combination. At the same time, it felt so unnatural. I felt not only pleasure in my mouth, but my body began to feel energized and warm. All that from a small bite. I swallowed the bite full and let out a pleasure sigh, making Diana smirk slightly at me and with a raised eyebrow. I couldn't lie to her about how it tasted. It's delicious.
That it is. They're natively grown in my kingdom, so I have the pleasure of enjoying these every day.
You have a kingdom?
I do. The boys are not the only royals in the demon world, sweetie. I just so happen to be a princess.
Yeah. I stared in surprise. She was really a princess? How? She looked so mature. She was more of a queen than a princess. Really? You're a princess? You seem more like a queen. The first split second, I swore I saw Diana blush, but she started to laugh. I shook my head at the thought.
You flatter me, little girl. You best be careful. I may just take your flattery as an invitation to take your energy.
That's okay. That's fine. I shut my mouth, feeling a blush run across my own cheeks. I returned to eating the fruit, hearing her chuckle and eat the remainder of the fruit on her own. Surprisingly, I just fell full from the small slice. How could that be? The only explanation is that I had it was a demon fruit, so I mentally accepted it as that. What I didn't expect was Diana leaning over and lifting my chin to look down at me.
Messy, aren't you?
Oh god, is she gonna, like, kiss me or something? What's happening? Whoa. What? I stared at Diana, came closer, and gently kissed my cheek at the corner of my lip, making me gasp slightly. What was she doing? Why was she kissing my cheek? I was red in the face already, and was just taking advantage. Diana pulled away slightly and licked and popped her lips. What?
You had a little juice on the side of your lip. It was bothering me.
Okay. I ran my fingers over where she kissed me, and I felt my face grow red even hotter. Diana chuckled slightly at the sight, making me almost glare at her. I didn't know if she was flirting with me or trying to embarrass me. Either way, she was winning. I think she's doing both, let's be honest. Eventually, my alarm started going off, reminding me to be ready for Naomi and Zuzu. Right, school was a thing. I stood from my chair and grabbed my bag, walking out of the dining room.
And where are you going, might I ask?
I have to go to school.
Ah, I see.
I looked at Diana, feeling that she was up to something. She had her arms crossed, looking at me as if I owed her something. What?
Well, I don't exactly want you to leave this house with the memories you have. I'd be breaking the rules if I allowed that.
But we had a deal. You stay for a day, I keep my memories until you leave. I still have to go to school, though.
Then skip school and stay home.
What?
That, or I go with you.
Oh, that would be so interesting. Can she come with me? What? Diana was crazy to suggest to go to school with me, practically signing death wish. Everyone would ask about her. What would I tell everybody? That's crazy.
I can't let you leave this house with those memories unless I'm with you. Rules are rules.
What rules?
The rules of the world, sweetie.
Rules of the world? What was she talking about?
The rules applies to any magical being that lives in the human world. They were established on a day you humans might know as the birth date of Jesus Christ.
Oh. Wait, does that mean Christianity is legitimate?
It's a story to some, a religious faith to others. I won't deny or prove a religion exists because that's a human matter.
Uh-huh.
Magical beings, on the other hand, don't pay attention unless they're angels from the world of heaven.
My curiosity was speaking in my mind like a frantic bird. I wanted to know more. Diana was giving me answers and I wanted to ask more questions. However, I had to go to school. I was conflicted.
Stay, and I'll tell you more of these rules.
And if I go?
Then I take your memories. Now.
I was trapped. There was no way I could bring Diana with me without some repercussions. If she took my memories now, then I go to school without remembering anything. However, if I stayed, I could learn more, but I miss school. Fuck school. I mean, don't you know, go to school. School's important, but just for the sake of this game, fuck school. I bit my lip. Did I really want to say? I could feel my fingers run over my phone to call up Naomi. Without even listening to the phone, I spoke into it. Hey girls, I'm feeling a little sick. Don't worry about coming and don't come over. I'm staying home and getting better. I hung up without even acknowledging Naomi and Zuzu on the other end. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. They're gonna be like, what the hell's wrong with her? Diana crossed her arms and waited for me to finally turn to her fully. I threw my bag to the side and looked at Diana, ready to learn more. You're going to tell me everything.
I'll do the best I can.
I walked up the stairs with Diana behind me. I glanced around the dining room to see that it's already clean. I guess Diana used her magic to clean up after us. I continued and wound up walking to the bedroom. I sat on the bed and Diana stood by the balcony window. It was just like last night. So, I can ask you anything and you'll answer, right?
I'll give you the best answers I can give.
Knowing Diana, it would have been a white lie. She already had hidden details, but I guess she had her reasons. However, I would need to know more than just details. There are rules of the other worlds. What are they?
They are the heart and soul of the human world, created and approved by all 5 worlds on the human date, December 25th.
5 worlds?
In human terms, there is the human world, heaven, purgatory, hell, and the abyss.
What are the rules in this agreement?
These rules dictate the behavior of otherworldly creatures in the human world. Without them, there would be constant war between angels and devils, while the vampires would try and enslave humanity. Demons are merely the watchers, but often the devils or vampires will try and coax them into joining them.
So, angels and vampires exist too?
Yes. Angels are from heaven, watching over the human world with a careful eye. Vampires are from the human world, but pass on to purgatory before rebirth.
I stared at my lab. This was amazing, yet this wasn't satisfying my curiosity. Did I want to know more? Did I want to know more about just demons? This was all a huge deal, and I felt both over and underwhelmed. So, these rules have rules over humans. Humans can't know about magic at all?
Correct. Humans, to the angels, need to remain pure
but
and innocent.
The grandfather is like a wizard.
So they dictated that humans cannot know of the other worlds or of other beings. The rest of us agreed. Only a select few are allowed to know the truth about us.
Okay. But that's hardly fair, isn't it?
Well, take a look at yourself. You're barely proficient with magic. Your kind is too focused on who will fight the next war or who will screw the next person. I'm sorry to admit this, but humans are the weakest race in the planes of existence. The only ones who truly protect you are angels.
I felt angry that she made humans sound inferior. Yeah, we had our faults, but it wasn't like any other race that were better, right? There was no way humans were the inferior race. Okay, no offense, even I believe that. If there are other, like, races out there now, I would like to think that the human race really sucks, so... Well, we're not inferior.
Oh, you're not now? Really?
Diana stared at me, looking up and down before smirking a bit.
Let's go on a little trip, shall we?
What does that mean? What? I raised my eyebrows. What was she on about? First she wanted me to stay here, now she wanted to go out? What's with this girl? Before I could protest, the world began to spin around me, forcing me to jump up and grab onto Diana. She held me as the room began to spin, out of control. My fears escalated as I buried my face in her shoulder, wanting it to stop. If she was trying to prove a scary point, it was working. What? Where are we? What the hell? Well, okay. I felt the world slow down around me and come to a halt. I didn't want to look, but gently Diana pushed me away from her body to look around. I gasped when I realized that I was in a business office. What? What is going on? Where are we?
Just a simple business office. Nothing more.
I looked around and felt the air of familiarity in the room. I couldn't figure out, but my brain kept me aware that I knew this place somehow. Is this the toy company? I didn't think to get it on too long. Suddenly, a group of businessmen entered the room, stopping at the sight of Diana and me.
Who are you two?
I froze. What was going to happen? Were we going to be thrown out and get in trouble, and I would never be allowed it again? This was a mild nightmare. Diana giggled, stopped in my thoughts, and I looked to her to see her smirking at the group of men, a hand by her lips.
Why, do you not know who we are? For shame, for shame.
Diana guided me to the chair and sat me down before at the table. I practically turned red as Diana hiked her dress to where her entire leg slipped out from the slit. She crossed her legs and tossed her hair gently. Oh, God!
We are your employers. This lovely lady is the CEO of the company, and I am her personal secretary. You men, however, are late.
Oh my God! I stared at Diana as she stared down at the group of men, like a tigress would her prey. The group collectively began to shovel in nervousness, surprised at me. Were they really believing her lie? Like, how? Diana smiled and lifted her leg slightly, making the men lean in possible panty show. Ew! Oh, God! I mean, not Diana doing that, but the creepy dudes. Like, God damn it. I couldn't help but feel both stunned and slightly jealous.
One of you needs to come over here and kiss my foot as an apology.
What is she doing? What? I looked at Diana's foot, seeing it gently bob in slight impatience. Was she seriously going to make one of them kiss her foot? They obviously couldn't be that enthralled with her enough to stoop so low. I let my thoughts become distraught as I watched one of the men step out from the group, nervously, and get on his knees in front of Diana. As he gently cradled her foot in her hands, I tensed and held my breath. No way. The man gently kissed over Diana's foot, making an almost sultry sigh escape her lips and sent a shiver down my spine. Diana smirked and leaned back on her hands, looking down at the man before her.
My ankle next.
What is she doing? What? Like an obedient servant. The man traveled his kiss to her ankle and let Diana's head fall back with another sigh. Diana, what are you doing?
Proving to you how weak the human mind is.
Uh-huh. Diana raised her hand above her head and snapped her fingers, causing the group of ogling men to straighten up like an army at attention. I felt myself tense and catch my breath in response. I couldn't feel any power over me.
Water, a massage, another kiss.
With each command, a man would separate from the group and fulfill it obediently. I watched as each man became practically a slave with their whim. Diana closed her eyes and let out a pleasure hum, making my spine tingle again. For some reason, this irritated me beyond belief. Watching her pampered by enthralled men made something crawl within my chest, something dark. I wanted to stop. Okay, I think this is literally getting a little bit weird, let's be honest. Diana and the men around her suddenly looked at me. Diana was a little surprised and then slightly smirked.
Oh my. Is someone a little jealous?
Maybe I am, okay? It's not like that. Just stop it. You've proven your point. Diana chuckled, making me wince. Would she stop? She wasn't obedient like the boys who knew would with her. Diana then snapped her fingers, surprising me to force the men around me to huddle together where they were previously.
I have proven my point, haven't I? Oh, well. I guess I got a little carried away.
Diana ran a finger over her lower lip and giggled at my face, though. What?
You're adorable when you're jealous.
My face turned red instantly. I covered my cheeks, glaring at Diana. She was giggling again before snapping her fingers and making the room around us fade away into darkness. A mere breath later, and we were back in my bedroom with both of us on my bed. Diana stretched her arms up and smiled at me.
So, now do you understand the vulnerability of humanity?
I gritted my teeth. Humans weren't as weak as she claimed. I couldn't believe it. Just because we were weak didn't mean that, about those who were supposedly more powerful than us. I glared at Diana. That justifies ignorance. How does that justify ignorance?
Ignorance is the only safety humans get to have. If humans were to know about us, do you know what kind of chaos would occur?
For once I felt scared. Diana's eyes were cold as ice as she stared into my soul, practically giving me a frightening feeling of the future I questioned.
There are already wars in the human world being fought amongst yourselves. Equality, dominance, power. The human world is practically the image of self-chaos. Innocent blood is spilt every day in your world. Doesn't matter the color or creed you carry.
That's true.
You think blood is spilt now? There will be much more if humans knew about otherworldly creatures. Our existences can destroy beliefs and human logic.
Yeah, I think so. Especially with the whole, religious organizations and shit like that. I felt the world around me go as dark as I stared at Diana. Sounds of screaming and battle raged around me. But I kept my eyes on the one person I could see. Was this an illusion? Was it a trick? Didn't feel like it.
Religions would crumble and civil wars would clash. Paranoia would be a constant in every human mind. And soon armies will rise up, trying to defend humanity without true knowledge of who we are and what we can do. Vampires would be forced to retaliate and build armies of their own, and trust me, they're not as friendly as the vampires in your human fictional drabble. Devils would have a heyday and wreak havoc, finally finding a collective weakness in the human world to exploit. Angels would have to come down and fight their devil rivals, and the human world would become their battlefield.
I could see the world Diana described flash before my eyes. I could see the humans screaming, fighting each other, trying to figure out who is what, and being frightful with every blink. I imagined devils like malice raging the city and killing people while soldiers tried to fight back, failing and denying every turn. The image was scary and I didn't want to imagine it. I shook my head, holding it in both hands before looking to Diana. The room had returned and Diana stared back at me. To my surprise, she had a face of concern.
The rules are to make sure that we all stay at peace. To have us all fighting at once would result in a massive cataclysm that would engulf everything and everyone, no matter what you were.
Diana finally broke away at the gaze as she held onto me and stared at the far wall. I could see that her fear rushed through her eyes as she looked away at me. I almost felt sorry, but my confusion covered my concern.
Demons already have enough on our collective plates. We don't need to become the backlash victims of broken ignorance.
Diana? Something in Diana's eyes made my heart almost hurt. Even though she wasn't looking at me, I could almost see all the emotions ran through her mind just by observing her eyes. I felt bad, terrible even, for questioning her as I did. I was only human after all. However, I felt the need to comfort her. Something was going on, and Diana was holding it back. Whether or not I'd learn more by comforting her almost didn't matter. I think it's her kingdom, right? Take her hand? I felt myself gently scoot closer to Diana before laying my hand on hers. Diana stared at me for a brief moment before shaking her head frantically and shutting her eyes tightly. A soft sigh escaped her lips before she looked at me again with an almost new resolve.
I'm fine. I was merely trying to prove my points.
Okay, are you sure about that? But alright. The day then became filled with Diana teaching me about magic. Even when the day ended, I needed to learn more. I began to crave it. I begged Diana to stay, despite knowing our deal. Diana, despite promising me to stay one day, agreed to stay longer to tell me more. Soon days passed by, and filled with lessons and examples of magic. Knowing that I would be missed at school, Diana quickly took care of making sure I wasn't missed. Using a simple spell, as she called it, to create an illusion of me going into my place. It was real to humans and acted just like me, but it was like a ghost to demons. I kind of wish I would remember that spell to like use this so she doesn't have to go to school. She told me about vampires, creatures that look like humans who had an inner hierarchy. There were 4 types of vampires, but all of them were under oath to rule the world, not hunt humans. It was strange to feel like the fictional novels, but Diana promised me that vampires were not like the books. They had adapted to living like humans, creating a formula that allowed them to walk around during the day. They even had a blood bank as currency to make a synthetic blood to quench their thirst. They had real blood to drink, of course, but they got it either through hospital blood drives or black market means. It was surreal. Devils that were chaotic as Maleks, but they were still under the command of a very powerful fallen angel and the Devil King, Satan. He, however, still had the heart of an angel. He was simply sitting in hell and waiting for an opening into the human world. That's right! The devil is a fallen angel, that's, if you know that story. I hope it would never come. Angels, on the other hand, were not as I expected. When I thought of angels, I imagined beautiful human-looking creatures with wings and halos.
I still wonder who spread that rumor.
Diana explained that they were actually looked monstrous. Each archetype of angel looked different, but Diana could describe them all. The one that stood out to most of them was the Seraphim. She described it as a mysterious creature hid behind 3 large pairs of wings. What if the Seraphim did look human?
Well, anyone who has met a Seraphim and tried to find out has not lived to spill the secret.
The only one we know is through James's route with the veiny hands. That's all I can remember. I gulped. It was scary to hear that for some reason. Angels were strict and were not forgiving as many claimed. According to Diana, they had a love-hate relationship with humans, but they didn't try to dominate us. They only became mediators to rule the worlds. Why not?
I'd rather not get into that.
Why?
It's not my place to talk about heaven. Only the angels.
She also mentioned the method of memory removal, as her self-proclaimed guardian of the humans, that they had the right to baptize humans who held memories otherworldly creatures should find in any other human world. The baptism not only erased memories of magic, but erased their entire memory clean. Humans wouldn't remember who they were or who they knew. A blank canvas. Oh yeah, that's right. Demons, however, unlike the others, were passive creatures that only truly cared for their world. They had their own lands, kingdoms, and lords and living there. The most powerful demon in the Abyssal Plane was the Demon Lord. He was the incubi's father, and he was a ruthless man. He had conquered several kingdoms with a massive, indestructible army. Many demons died under his brutality, but when he did not conquer, life for demons was like a human resistance. Many feared the land would attack next. However, to everyone's surprise, the Demon Lord had tried to be peaceful with Diana's kingdom, as she was an offered bride to one of his sons. Why would you accept that?
I had no choice. I was barely a child when the decision was made, and when I learned of it, I had accepted it.
Yeah, especially like in royal like hierarchies, not like even in real life, like back in the day, like you had no say in like who you're gonna marry, especially if you're a noble person. Why though? How would you know that if you would be in love with the guy you married?
It didn't matter. My kingdom would be safe, and I would be able to live with knowing I was able to protect my kingdom.
I stared as Diana smiled at me with side eyes. She really didn't want to marry them. It was practically painted all over her face. She wanted to marry Saero. You shouldn't have to marry someone you don't love. Diana's face shifted with one surprise as she looked at me. I was being honest though. She shouldn't have to marry someone to protect her kingdom. It would be safe, yes, but you would be unhappy. Could you live yourself knowing that?
I'd rather be unhappy than see my kingdom burn to the ground. Besides, as the bride of the next Demon Lord, I'd have the ability to change things. I could disband his armies, bring peace to the Abyssal Plains.
That's exactly what she's gonna do. But what about love?
Love?
Diana looked at her lap and sighed.
Love can't exist for me. I'm the most powerful succubus in the demon world. Anyone who would go after me would only be entranced by my power.
Well, I'm not. How about that, Diana? I like you. Diana chuckled, making me blush a bit. I was almost honest with her and laughing at my words.
You're a human, dear. You can't know when I'm using my powers or not. I could be using them now, making you interested in me to trust me.
I don't think she is, though. But you're not, are you? Diana then silenced herself. She stared at me, knowing that her silence would give me an answer. I smirked at her. You like me.
What?
Her face. You like me. You definitely like me.
I do not. I'm merely fulfilling my end of the deal.
I felt like a tease. She was being nice to me, and she wasn't using her powers over me because she liked me. It was too obvious. You like me, you like me, you like me. Whoa! Whoa! Damn! Okay, sorry. What I didn't expect was her to take my hand and forcing me closer to her. A mere inch separated from our lips, but Diana stared into my soul, making my mind go blank. I barely remembered what I was saying. Diana remained holding me. I didn't fight. She stared into my soul and I allowed it. I was concerned at the same time. I was intrigued. Diana was indeed a beautiful woman. Seeing her up close to my face turned slightly red in embarrassment. Any moment, she could have leaned in and kissed me, maybe even take my energy. However, she didn't.
You are interesting for a human.
Hey, hey. She then released me and stared at me, watching as I stared back at her with a red face. Did I like her? I shook my head. No way, that was impossible. We were just like in a business deal, nothing more.
Is there anything else you wanted to know?
Yeah, you want to like date me? That's cool. I stared at her as I thought. Was there anything else I wanted to know? My memories were forfeit in the end, so everything was up to grabs. Yet I couldn't think of a single question to ask. What was that I wished to know? What was that I wished to know? No, there was nothing else I needed. I felt satisfied. No, that should be all.
I understand.
Diana stood in it just at the bottom of her dress before smiling at me. I barely noticed how much time has passed between us. Felt like forever, yet I enjoyed learning more. I felt bad that I had to lose my memories. However, that was the deal, and according to Diana, demons never go back on their word.
Well, if you don't mind, there's one place I need to visit, and I'd rather visit it now than after I take your memories. I'll be gone from the area for quite a while anyway.
Huh? Where do you need to go?
A cemetery. There's something I need to do there. It's boring, sadly, but I need to do it. You need to come with so I can watch you.
The grandfather? Why did she need to go to the cemetery? Did she have a human friend she needed to say goodbye to? Did she meet with another demon? Sure, let me...
No need to get dressed up. It's just a brief visit.
Diana snapped her fingers and the world melted into the back. I stood and walked beside Diana, unsure of what was happening. Why wasn't the world spinning instead? Was the spinning a trick she did? I felt myself click my teeth in irritation at the thought. Soon the world grew back in its color and we were standing in a field somehow I recognized. I looked down and regretted it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no, she's really pissed at the grandfather, right? Because I imagine, because it's his fault that the boys came through. Ooh. At our feet was grandfather's gravestone. It was untouched and clean as I remembered seeing it. Why were we here?
Here we are.
Here? I stared at Diana as she muffled a small incantation under her breath. In her hand, she formed a small vase of purple lilacs. She gently knelt down and placed them beside the grave.
I had to pay my respects to this man.
What? Why? Why? Were you his friend? I needed to know. My mind began screaming. Something wasn't right. Why did she know him? How did she know that he was dead? What was their relationship? What was going on?
No, I wasn't a friend of his. I didn't even know him.
Then why are you giving him flowers? My mind began to screech louder in my head. What was it? Why? Why? Diana, why are you giving him flowers?
You don't need to know. I highly doubt you knew this man.
Yes, I do. Diana stared wide-eyed in a mixture of fear and surprise mixed in her eyes. My heart began to squeeze tightly in my chest. Why was she looking at me like that?
How do you know him?
Answer my question.
How?
I said answer my question! I couldn't hold my voice. I needed to hear her answer and I didn't want to hear anything else. Anything other than her answer would infuriate me. Answer me. I need the answer.
This man helped the boys come to the human world. He opened a bridge and let them through, before sealing it with a part of his life force.
There was more. I knew there was more. I remained silent as she took a breath.
I had come to visit their castle one day, and when they told me that the boys were gone, I became frantic. Without the contract marriage, the demon lord would have had the freedom to march on my kingdom and conquer it. I couldn't let that happen, so I tried to find a way here. I searched the castle during my brief visit, trying to find out where the boys went. I found it. This man left behind a small trace of his spell, small enough to be undetected by the inhabitants of the castle.
Diana looked at me. A look of pain on her face made already pained in her heart feel like a punctured by needles.
Demon magic is best
What
with
did she
consent,
do?
but takes more energy when forced. So, in a blind need, I recast the spell and used that man's life force to open the bridge once more and seal it completely when I walked through. I didn't know I was taking the rest of his life.
Ooh, shit! Diana killed the grandfather! Ooh, damn! Wow, I didn't expect her to actually do that.
By the time the bridge closed, the man had already passed. He was visiting someone in a nearby hospital, so when I left to find the boys, The staff had found him and tried to revive him. I didn't want to take his life. I thought he was a younger man. I didn't know he was as old as he was. It's my fault this man is dead. But I needed to come to the human world, and he was my only chance to get close enough to track the boys down.
Oh, okay, I don't blame Diana, because she didn't know he was an old man, like, who he was, right? So I don't blame her for that, but oh my god! Diana's tensed up and stared at me. Her face was painted with regret and sadness, something not like her usual self. You killed my grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Oh, I'm gonna run. I don't want to attack her. I need to leave. I need to go. I quickly turned and ran, hearing Diana call out for me from behind.
Wait!
Oh, what the fuck? I ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back. She started all of this. She was the one who turned my world upside down. She was the reason for this chaos I was in. She took my grandfather away. I ran through the gates of the cemetery, through the streets to my house. This time, the world was in slow motion, and I was only going fast and fast forward. I didn't care what was going on around me. I just needed to run. My heart began to freeze in my chest, pain and the feeling of needles and knives piercing through it. Tears were running down my face, and I knew that we were running. I ran through the front gates into my house and sprinted inside. I zipped up the stairs and ran to my room. I slammed the door behind me and began to weep violently. I leaned against the door and slid into the ground, crying. My world was crumbling and I didn't like it. My world was broken apart and I didn't want it. All I could do, though, was cry. My heart denied me from thinking about anything else. I cried and continued to cry. I let my heart empty its pain with each tear that ran down my cheek. I screamed. My scream echoed through the room and bouncing around reverberated into my ears. I didn't care if it hurt to hear it. I didn't care about anything anymore. All I cared about was crying. I curled up into a ball and cried. I didn't even know when I passed out. I don't remember closing my eyes and letting the darkness take me. The darkness was comforting. I felt sadness numb within it. There was no reality in that darkness that haunted me or hurt me. I wanted to stay within it forever. However, my body forced me to open up my eyes. I stared in the room and focused around me, and I realized that I was staring at the ceiling. I was in the bed under my covers. I stood up. I sat up and looked around, stopping to see Diana leaning against the balcony window looking away from me. Why was she here? Did she carry me to my bed? I felt anger wanting to speak out against Diana, but I noticed that the puffiness around her visible eye. Had she been crying? What? She's seeing her bloodshot puffy eyes made me fully aware that my own eyes had dried and become after crying. I rubbed my eyes and let out a shaky sigh.
I'm sorry.
I stared at Diana. My heart didn't want to hear it, but I let her speak.
I didn't want to come here in the first place. I only thought of bringing the boys back to protect my
Like
kingdom,
I said, this is why I don't blame her for
became
this.
Secondary. I didn't want to come here in the first place. I only thought of bringing the boys back to protect my kingdom, so everything else became secondary. I didn't mean to take his life.
But you did.
I did. I can't ask for forgiveness, but I still am sorry. If I could turn back time, I would find another way.
You know, it's because of you that I met the boys.
Huh?
I looked at my blanket-covered lab and remembered the funeral, the moving, the meeting of the boys. Everything came to me at once, and now I had one puzzle piece that finally fit together. If my grandfather hadn't died, he'd be still living here, and he'd be the one taking care of the boys instead of me. But he died and gave me his estate, so I came and met them for the first time. I looked at Diana, seeing her sad face. I could tell she really regretted her choice, and she was upset. I couldn't sense any deception in her. I guess I have to thank you for introducing me to them and to magic, since my grandfather couldn't do it himself anyway. Diana looked down, pressing her lips together and closing her eyes.
I need to take your memories now.
Ooh.
A deal's a deal.
Yeah.
I fulfilled my part and told you everything. I had nothing left to tell you, and you can't keep those memories.
I didn't speak. I watched as Diana argued into the air about taking my memories. It felt like she was now doubting the deal, now wanting to take away the truth from me. Did I want her to? This was my chance to return to ignorance. I'd never remembered that she took my grandfather's life. I never remembered that she showed me and taught me. I returned to normalcy. You know what? I don't think we should. And also the fact that Diana's doubting the deal now, so let's see what happens if I say no. Diana stared at me, a look of almost despair on her face. I, however, kept my eyes to her. You took away my grandfather. What gives you the right to take my memories away?
But
I'm not done speaking. Diana shut her mouth, listening obediently. I needed to speak my mind. She had no right to take anything away. I knew the truth now, and that it was all that mattered. Screw the rules. I deserve to remember everything. I was thrown into this mess because of you. No one has the right to take anything away from me. Diana stepped towards me, and I was ready to snap at her. However, she gently leaned over me and ran a hand over my head.
All right.
What?
I won't take your memories.
I stared at her in shock. Was she serious? Really? I figured she'd be like, bitch, like... But then again, Diana is like a nice person on the inside, so yeah. Diana smiled at me and stood back up.
You're right. You deserve to know everything. It's the least I can do.
I felt almost joyful. She agreed with me. It was a huge deal. I still didn't forgive Diana, but it was better knowing than before I left in ignorance. Eventually, I would be able to move on. Until then, Diana was willing to stay and teach me the life my grandfather knew in redemption. It was something.
Head back to sleep and I'll teach you more in the morning. I'll stay a few more days until you know everything.
Aww. Something felt off, but I nodded, feeling exhaustion drift over me again. Was it natural? I didn't know. My head began to spin. I needed more rest. Diana gently laid me back down and moved my hair away from my face.
Rest.
As if from a spell, I closed my eyes and fell back into unconscious darkness. My heart was healing and it would take some time to heal. Thankfully, it had time now to heal and grow stronger. Diana obeyed my word and stayed with me. She owed me that much already to stay with me for a good week. Within that time frame, she was not only taught me about everything she could, but she also assisted me in learning some of my own hidden magic. I could barely believe it. I had demon magic floating through my veins and I could use it at any time. If I had learned about how to use powers earlier, I would have been stronger as a demon. Dan explained that humans who learn demon magic attract demon energy and have the potential to use it somewhat like a demon, but their full powers can only be unlocked in the demon world. Hey, that's what we're gonna do. Being that my grandfather spent hours his whole life learning about demon magic, his energy carried through my father, then me. When my dad left my grandfather, his energy diminished and we became but when I came home, mine began to grow. According to Diana, I shouldn't have as much energy as I have. I guess I was lucky. Everything was fascinating. I felt waves of excitement and energy run through my body. I was aware of the energy. I held onto the magic around me. I couldn't even sense Diana's energy, as powerful as it was. One night, however, as I slept, Diana began to waver.
What am I doing?
What? I heard Diana mutter, waking me from sleep. I opened my eyes and peeked over the covers to see Diana looking out the window. She looked tired and restless.
I need to get the boys and return home. My kingdom is in danger. Maybe I should call an angel.
Oh no! Is she the reason why James has an angel after him? Oh, shit. My heart froze. She would call an angel, it would baptize me and make me forget everything. I panicked, but I heard Diana sigh.
But she makes sense.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Why should I marry to protect my kingdom? I should be able to... Well, would I? Me against the Demon Lord's entire army. I'm not that strong.
I slowly sat up, looking to Diana still. She seemed to only focus her attention out the window, unfazed by my rousing.
She's strong, though. The magic in her veins would win me this war. But I can't take her magic. I care for her too much.
Aww.
But she's just a human.
Diana sighed and opened the window.
I need to leave. I have to fight him on my own. I'll use the rest of my energy to get back, and hopefully recover when I get there.
Oh my god, when she goes back, they're all dead.
Or is ready for me.
Diana stepped out of the window and stood on the balcony. Was she really going to leave? What about me? Was she going to leave? What about teaching me everything? My curiosity was peaking again. I needed her here. I didn't know what drew me to her, but quickly rushed out of the bed and ran to the balcony. Wait! Diana turned around and stared at me in surprise. However, she tightened her hand into a fist and turned back around.
Go back to bed. I need to go.
But you...
I need to go. I'll be back someday. But I need to protect my kingdom. Without the boys, he'll attack at any time. And I need to prepare myself instead of waste my time here.
I couldn't believe it. She was really wanting to leave. I overheard her. She wasn't confident about winning. She probably couldn't if she was powerful as she claimed. I'd never see her again.
Take care of those memories while I'm gone. You need to keep them secret at all costs. If angels find you, they'll...
Take me with you. I couldn't believe what came out of my mouth. Diana turned to me, also surprised at my words.
What?
I couldn't deny myself. I needed to fulfill the curiosity, and if Diana was going, I was going with her. If I was with her, maybe she could win the fight and then come back to the human world with me. An adventure. My heart felt giddy for some reason at the thought. Take me with you. I overheard you. I have power to help you win the war. I'll help you, and then you'll come back with me and teach me everything.
But I don't deserve your help.
I demanded it as a deal, demon. Diana straightened up, staring at me in disbelief. I almost couldn't recognize my own voice. In redemption for my grandfather's life, you will take me with you and teach me everything. Whoa! I will then win your war, and in return, you will return with me to the human world and continue teaching me until I have learned everything. Diana stared. I couldn't tell what was going on in her mind. Was she angry, sad, surprised? As Diana closed her eyes and smiled, I felt a wave of relief wash over me.
A tongue of ice, even when faced with danger.
Diana then looked at me and held out her hand.
Come then. Help me open a portal.
Oh, damn, we're going!
I'll take you with me.
I nodded and placed my hand in Diana's. For some reason, it felt nice to touch her hand like this. She was going to take me on an adventure and I could never forget. Whoa! Yeah! Alright! Sorry, Saero, but you know what I mean? She then gently pulled me to her, and both of us began to float up towards this night sky. Diana's embrace seemed very safe, and I felt better being in than out of it. Sorry, grandfather. Diana looked down at me and ran her hand over my cheek.
You don't know how much this means to me.
Whoa! I then nestled into Diana's head and closed my eyes. Diana gently lowered her hands to my waist and staring down at me, and I opened my eyes.
You intrigue me.
I giggled. Don't you mean seduce me? Damn it, Michaela, why'd you write that in there? Diana chuckled and grinned at me.
Yes, you seduce me.
I smiled, and before gently reaching up and kissing Diana softly, she stared, surprisingly closing her eyes and gently returning my kiss. There was no pull of energy, nor fuzzy enthrallment. It was a simple kiss. It was one of the kisses that I felt so perfect from start my adventure with. The sky began to melt into darkness as Diana and I kissed each other. It wasn't heated or passionate, yet the kiss spoke on many languages to me. Diana liked me and cared for me just a little more. Was this the start of something? Maybe. It was too early to tell. Maybe we'd find romance in the demon world. Maybe not. Oh man, Saero's gonna be so bad. Still had 100 battles to face, 1,000 memories to make, and 1,000,000 stories to write. However, this was the change I needed in my life. And that was my happily ever after. She just straight up we just straight up left the human world. Like, we're not gonna say goodbye to our parents or our friends. We're just like, bye everybody, I'm leaving with this succubus. What the fuck? Okay, well, that was Diana's route, which is really interesting. I like the little bit there with the grandfather, so we learned a little bit more. I figured that Diana didn't really know about the grandfather. I didn't know that she actually knew that it was that dude that brought them there. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. So I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna start on with Diana's special episode first, and then I will continue over into Seduce Me 2, and then we'll see what happens on there. Man, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen between Diana, her, and then Saero at the same time. It's gonna be so great. So like I said, if you guys would like to download the game yourself, there's a link in the description, and if you would like to support Michaela Laws, who's the creator of this game and the voice of Diana, please check out her stuff and her Patreon so she can make more games as well. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Seduce Me, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to join the companions. And if you would like to support the channel on Patreon, there's a link in the description. Get early access to videos for Patreon only, the Discord server, and a bunch of other stuff that I mail out to you. Or if you would like to check out my store, that's another way you can help support the channel. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye! Fierce as always. You remind me of a Rose of Thorns princess. Oh my god! Does he have a thing for like when women like step all over him? Is that his thing? Oh god. Slick wetness between my fingers. It's so awkward. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself too. She gauges my awkward expression and Google.